Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I've got a pretty fun little video for you all. You might have noticed recently that I've been dabbling with some more guide and informational based videos, and they've been a lot of fun, and you all seem to enjoy and get a lot of benefit out of them as well, so I figured I would continue that trend today, because I'm always tinkering around with different builds and setups and guns. It's one of the most unique and most alluring aspects of the Division franchise for me personally, and in doing that, I recently dusted off an old fave of mine that I feel like has been lost in time a bit. Now, I'm sure there are some of you who still use and champion this gun, but in general, I haven't seen anyone in-game using this in a long time when I inspect them, and I haven't seen it mentioned or thrown into any build videos in a long time. And so because it has been a while, and because I like being experimental, I threw it on to give it a spin, and I'm not kidding you, this thing is incredible. I've been sweeping through heroic content at an insanely fast rate, and not only that, I think this gun has the potential to be even stronger once the Division 2's new update and content releases, because of a certain feature and change that has already been confirmed to be coming. We'll get into that in a little bit, but what gun am I talking about? You guessed it, it's the Savage Wolverine, the named version of the Honey Badger assault rifle. If you haven't used this thing in a long time, or you never required it because it's a bit more off the beaten path than some other named items, then I absolutely think you should consider, and I'm going to dive into why right now. Alright, just in case you aren't familiar with it, this is the Savage Wolverine, as I said, a named version of the Honey Badger assault rifle, and its perfected perk, or I guess what makes it a named item, is that it has perfectly close and personal, which is killing a target within 7 meters, grants 38% weapon damage for 10 seconds. That's a pretty big damage boost, and unlike some other named items where sometimes the bonus isn't really all that great, like what's perfectly unbreakable, it goes from like 95 to 100%. Recovered armor, which is just kind of silly. This one is actually pretty significant. If we go to the recal mention, look at the normal version of close and personal. I think, yeah, so you get 8% more damage from the thing. This one is killing a target within 7 meters, grants 30% weapon damage for 10 seconds, which is still good, but to get almost a 25% damage increase from using this, on that talent, that's pretty solid. And so, if you don't know how to get it, it is one of the more elusive named items compared to some other ones, whereas you could just go and farm, a lot of named items in their respective targeted zones. You have to get this from the Firewall Specialization Field Research track. Now, if you didn't own the Year 1 pass and you had to unlock each of these on their own, then if you unlocked Firewall naturally through the progression, then you already have this to craft. But if you hadn't, or if you got the Year 1 pass and it just automatically unlocked for you, maybe you haven't done this, you're going to have to go through and get to Tier 4 on this. You can see then the reward is the Savage Wolverine. These things do take a little bit of time. I did it for fun, mainly because I wanted the skin at the end there for the flamethrower, which is pretty cool. So I went back into this in like Year 1. But yeah, if you never did it, you're going to have to do this to get the gun. And in that sense, it is a bit rarer than some other ones. You have to do these things like set enemies on fire, kill scorchers, kill enemies closer than 7 meters, kind of similar to the talent there. You have to kill some specific bosses, do some specific things before enemies die. Like, it's not a, super casual track there, but once you get to stage 4, you do indeed get the Savage Wolverine blueprint. And then, similar to some of the other named items in its caliber, you can then craft it right here. It's under assault rifles. Yeah, and it's pretty easy to get a good roll because obviously it comes with the same talent every time. So as long as you get a decent damage roll, then you can roll whatever you want in the attribute slot. And yeah, so if you haven't gotten it, that is how you get it. But before we sign off here, I do want to kind of show you what I'm talking about why I think it's so good. And before we get to that, actually, I alluded at the idea that this might become even better once the new content releases, and I kind of want to explain myself there. So we know a few things about the update from what we've been told so far. Part of that comes from the 2 Intelligence Annex articles that we received. The first one talked about the specialization rework, and in there, we were told that we are going to be receiving some form of instant armor kits that provide us bonuses when you use them. And so, I think, or I believe that it's possible that depending on what these armor kit bonuses are, and even just the fact that they're going to be in the game could make this thing even better, because you do have to kill something within 7 meters. So you can see on the side of the gun there, it tells you how far this is. So this is getting close to the extent of the talent's range. If that thing were, I can back up a little bit, I guess. Right about there. So this is the maximum distance you can be from a target in order to proc the bonus. You can see there I even stepped out a little bit. So that's pretty close. And sometimes it's not that advantageous to get this close to a target in the game because, obviously there's no burst heals, the way that armor works, all that stuff. But if we have now instant armor kits, it's almost like you're running around with system corruption, where you have that extra layer of safety. If you start getting shot, you can turn around, kill someone, get the huge damage boost. So that's why I think, again, it all depends on how they implement it and what the bonuses are. But I think it could become even more viable, both in PvE and potentially even in PvP. Usually on-kill stuff isn't the best in PvP because you want your bonuses to be active during your first fight. But I think, it really could, just depending on, again, how they implement it. And so personally, I'm very curious to see how that's going to shake out once they do tell us more details about how those instant armor kits are going to work. And I want to give a bit of a gameplay demonstration of why I think this thing is so good. So the build I'm using, just for context, I got the Memento, which of course is really great for solo, Contractors, Foxes, 1 Sombra and Sesko for the extra crit, and then a Fenris Chest with Unbreakable, pretty standard, 4 reds, 3 blues, all that stuff. And then of course you have the Savage Wolverine. I'm pairing it with the Firewall because you do get the shield that gets you extra damage, and you want to get up close to proc that talent. So I think it's a pretty good synergy, and I think you're going to see in just a moment here why it's so good. I was actually shocked when I put this together. First I tried it with Striker, and it was even good with that too, but I found this to be a bit better. But I just kind of rolled in some PvE content to try it out, and I was like, dang, this thing is actually pretty good. So we're pulling up to this control point that I frequently use to test my stuff out. Is that coming towards us? Yeah, let's just call this, and then I'll kill them quick. That'll be a good first showing there. Alright, we took care of that elite patrol. That wasn't terribly exciting. Let's roll in here now and see what we can do when all these ads are here. They already lost focus. Pull them back up here. Shield out. And obviously this build does have a little bit of a wind-up because you have to get close and personal procced, and obviously the more you get your memento stacks up, the more you're going to be doing. But we should still be able to get quite some good stuff here. Of course, the sniper turret's going to be right in my way. Even without close and personal, you can see that damage is pretty good. We get him. Start going to town. And this is on heroic, mind you. You can see up in the corner. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like this is doing some pretty darn solid damage. Especially for still having a decent amount of armor, Like that elite stood no chance. Now I have close and personal. That's a lot of damage. And it's really just like not a lot can stand up to it. Obviously I'm playing a little bit aggressive here, so that's bound to happen. But yeah, you can see the damage is quite good. And I'm going to make sure I get to the point where the boss comes out of the attacking gate, where they all cluster up very closely. And you'll see that there. Part of what's nice too is that sometimes you get named items, both gear and weapons, where the talent you want is just on a gun or a gear piece that is not great. The one that comes to mind is like tech support, is it? Or one of those is on the Alps backpack. It's just like, I'm not going to use Alps for like a skill damage focused thing. But the Honey Badger is in absolutely the top, I don't know, quarter of viable ARs. I mean, it and the Carbine are basically the same archetype. The big difference between them is that the Honey Badger has one less attachment slot, but because of that, it has around a 5% base damage increase. But those two, the FAMAS, the Police M4, are based. I'm trying to think if there's any more, but those are basically like your top ARs as far as high ends are concerned. And so the fact that this is on a Honey Badger, I think, certainly makes it that much more viable in that sense. All right, here we go. This is what I really wanted to show you as well. Is when they pop out of the manhole back here. Let's see what kind of stuff we can get when they're all grouped up like this. Pop that so they're all disoriented a little bit. Get close and personal. And now we go to town. Pick up the memento. The extra damage there. And that's an elite on heroic. Is dying that fast. Like, that is solid. Like, I don't... Maybe everyone else will have a different opinion. For me, this feels like I'm on challenging, or hard. Like, these things are dying insanely fast. Even when I would run something like Striker, when they changed that, it was killing fast. I don't know if it was killing this fast, to be completely honest with you. And the boss died just like that. So there you go. That's a bit of a showcase for why I think the Savage Wolverine is so good, especially if you pair it with the right type of build, the right playstyle, all that stuff. And, as I said before, Keep an eye out for this both now and in the future when the new content drops. Depending on how they implement instant armor kits, it could become even better. Okay, everybody, and that is a bit of a showcase for the Savage Wolverine, a gun that I think has crept into obscurity over the past months or year, and one which I think is massively underrated. If you don't already have it, then I highly recommend picking it up, both because it's crazy good now, as you just saw, but also because I think it and the close and personal talent could certainly climb the viability ladder in the new update, given the coming introduction of instant armor kits to the game. Depending on how that's implemented and what you can do with them, this thing could become even stronger in PvE and potentially become super viable in PvP as well. So I'll be very curious to see how all of that shakes out. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on the Savage Wolverine. Is this a gun you already have or have used a fair amount of? If so, what are your thoughts on it? And if not, get it. I'm serious. I think it's very worthwhile if you're comfortable playing at those closer ranges, of course. Some people prefer to only fight from a distance. That's totally fair. Maybe this one isn't for you. But yeah, get out there, get your hands on it. Let me know what you think. And that's going to do it for me today, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And until the next one, guys, RogueGold. Ow.